And so that I'm going to start by acknowledging that we are on unceded territory of the Interior Salish peoples, and would like to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples from First Nation, Métis, and Inuit who currently live in this area. It's my great pleasure to introduce and welcome to our Peace Cafe, Bill Dunwoody, who is with District 5080 Peace Committee and is co-chair along with Maria, who's also on this call with us tonight. And Bill is currently living in Eastern Washington, around the Tri-Cities area since 2013. He continued his healthcare career, previously working in emergency medical services on the East Coast. Or was that Central and East Coast, Central US?
No, just East Coast, Massachusetts, Maine, and Vermont. So
perfect. So as a lean facilitator and practice development manager, during this time, he became intensely interested in peace building, human trafficking prevention, promoting justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and restorative practices. He is an active participant with the Institute for Economics and Peace through Sydney, Australia. He's part of the Mediators Beyond Borders International. He's a director of the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park Association, and that peace park is done together with Alberta in Canada and Montana in the US. He's a student at the University for Peace and Global Leadership, a UN mandated institution in Costa Rica. He has economics and peace ambassador status. He is a human trafficking consultant, restorative practice consultant, and he has diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace certification. And tonight, we're just really pleased to have you join us and talk about the great work that Rotary does in our district in the whole peace building arena around the world.
well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be talking to the Peace Cafe. So I'm going to start off with sharing my presentation. And I do have a 7-minute video that's also part of this, and hopefully it will work. I'm crossing my fingers. So let me share the screen here. Can you see the first page?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Excuse me. So we're going to talk about the history of peace building in Rotary, not just what's happened in the past, but also what is happening now in Rotary. So one of the things that we want to accomplish is we want to understand the objectives and history of Rotary in peace building, understand the concepts of negative peace and positive peace. I'm not sure if everybody understands that there are 2 types of peace. Learn how the framework of positive peace and the 8 pillars of positive peace can be used to promote global peace initiatives, and learn how individuals and Rotary clubs can become active in promoting peace. So this is the history of peace in Rotary. This is Paul Harris was very much a peace builder right from the beginning. He believed that the road to war is well paved. The road to peace is a wilderness. Needs a lot of work, the road to peace. So some of the milestones that have occurred throughout the history of Rotary, primarily 1917, the Rotary Foundation was created for the purpose of doing good in the world. The mission is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace. 1921, the Rotary bylaws were modified to include the statement, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world of fellowship. 1940, there was a convention in Havana, Cuba, and Rotary adopted a resolution at that time calling for freedom, justice, truth, and sanctity of the pledged word, and respect for human rights. This will come up later on in the history of Rotary as well. 1942, Rotary clubs from 21 nations organized a conference that was a precursor to the creation of UNESCO. 1945, Rotary was at the forefront of the finalizing the United Nations Charter at a meeting in San Francisco. And they provided 11 official observers to the US delegation. 1948, the words brought up in 1940 raised their head again. And it was the basis for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations. 1985, Rotary initiated its single largest and most significant project, Polio Plus, which in reality is a peace building project, and we'll kind of describe why it's a peace building project. 1992, the city of Wagga Wagga, New South Wales was declared the first Rotary Peace City. Currently, there are 351 Rotary Peace Cities throughout the world. The most recent, actually in the last couple of months, was Crestline, California. During the era of the Second World War, Rotary published a number of documents, brought in great thinkers from not just Rotarians, but from throughout the world, and published several documents, and they're all related to peace. The World We Live In was 1942, Peace is a Process, 1944, and Peace Demands Action, 1947. All these documents actually are available online if you wish to read them. In 1999, the Rotary International created the Peace Centers, Rotary Peace Centers. Started off small, but currently we have 7 peace centers throughout the world. We have one in North Carolina, one in the United Kingdom, one in Sweden, one in Uganda, one in Thailand, one in Australia, and one in Japan. Actually, the one in North Carolina is a dual program. But we also have another program coming up, the 8th program, which is going to be established in the Middle East, North Africa. And the purpose of the peace centers, as I'm sure you're aware or may not be aware, is to create peace fellows. The peace centers have 2 programs. One is a 3-year master's degree program, and the other is a certificate program. All of these are fully funded by Rotary through the donations of Rotarians. And the focus of this is to create people who are peace builders, peace fellows who are peace builders throughout the world. And they fill roles such as ambassadorial associates. They work for the United Nations. They work for UNESCO. They work for a number of NGOs throughout the world. And then also work independently to promote the concept of peace throughout the world. Throughout the years, Rotary has had many themes. We all are aware of the themes that the presidents, the presidents of Rotary create a theme each year. And in 2012, 2013, the president of Rotary, name was Sakuchi Tanaka, established a theme which was peace through service. Since then, Rotary has established a vision statement. And the vision statement is, together we see a world where people unite to take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. So all these are concepts of peace building, creating lasting change. So what role does peace play in this vision? Can't remember what year it was, 2018, I think. Barry Rassin was the president of Rotary International, and Maria, who is my compatriot on the Peace Committee, asked him, in light of our experience with the Polio Plus initiative, how can Rotarians promote peace in the world? And he had a very profound response. His response was, peace happens one conversation at a time. So peace is really very much all about having conversations, attempting to understand, and definitely listening to what other people say. Another luminary in Rotary is Peter Kyle. Peter was the executive director of the Peace Centers program for a while. He is currently involved in District 3334, if I recall correctly, working on a project for youth. District 3334, Zone 3334 is on the east coast of the United States from Pennsylvania, actually all the way down into South America. And the project they're working on is bringing youth together to work for a more peaceful world. What can they do as youth to create a more peaceful world? So one of the concepts or the expressions that Peter likes to say and has said on many occasions, that peace building is in our DNA. So it's part of the history. It's part of the roots, the biology of Rotary, and has been right from the start. Shekhar Mehta is another luminary. He's our current president. Shekhar is very much involved in promoting service as a means of creating peace. He believes that all areas of focus, regardless of whether you're doing a water project or a health project or just community service, is a peace project. So service directly relates to building peace. He also believes that you might have a world without war, but if each individual in the world is not at peace, then there is no peace. Each individual has to interpret their own peace in their own way. And if they are not at peace within themselves for whatever reason, through starvation, through lack of housing, through all kinds of different things that impact their lives, then they are not at peace. So that's why service is so important. Now we have Jennifer Jones, who is also a peace builder. And I don't have a picture of her, but I do have her theme. Her theme is Imagine Rotary. And this was created, the image itself was created by an Aboriginal individual from Australia. And if you take a look, Imagine Rotary, Imagine comes from the 50-year-old anthem from John Lennon. I don't know how many of people would remember that, or I think pretty much everybody here probably has heard of it at some point, but it basically says, you may say I'm a dreamer. Am I not the only one? But I'm not the only one. John Lennon looked at the world and said, let's imagine a world at peace. Let's imagine a world where everybody gets along. And that's what this theme is all about, basically. Imagine Rotary contributing to that. And you'll notice up on the top, there's a symbol with 7, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 dots, which happens to be the 7 areas of service that Rotary is involved with. So every time we have a new president. I'm not sure what the president for the following years. I haven't read too much about him. He's from Scotland, my area of origin. But I haven't read too much about him, but I'm pretty sure that he's probably going to continue along the same path. So in 2017, Rotary got together with the Institute for Economics and Peace and created a partnership. Now, the Institute for Economics and Peace since 2007 has been working on the study of peace. What are the elements of peace? And we'll get into that. I'm going to show you the video. But it's kind of interesting that Rotary really does nothing by accident. You'll notice that the date they announced this partnership was September 21st, 2017. Well, September 21st is the International Day of Peace. So isn't that a coincidence? They announce a peace-building partnership on the International Day of Peace. So like I said, Rotary does nothing by accident. So the concept, again, going back to what Sheikh Armetta said, is peace just the absence of war? So I'm going to try very hard to run a video, and it's about 7 minutes. So let me actually, I'm going to stop sharing just for a second and make sure that I have the parameters all set up. I'm going to share again. Make sure I have all the sound issues working. And let me run this. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Is peace just the absence of war? This question occupied the mind of renowned researcher Johan Galtung. Galtung is a Norwegian sociologist recognized as the principal founder of peace and conflict studies. He also created the concept of peacebuilding, which aims to prevent the root causes of violent conflict through the establishment of sustainable peace. As an advocate for peace by peaceful means, Galtung...
I'm sorry. You're hearing, but you're not seeing, right?
Correct.
Okay, sorry about that.
Just the absence of war? This question occupied the mind of renowned researcher Johan Galtung. Galtung is a Norwegian sociologist recognized as the principal founder of peace and conflict studies. He also created the concept of peacebuilding, which aims to prevent the root causes of violent conflict through the establishment of sustainable peace. As an advocate for peace by peaceful means, Galtung defines his approach in the following way. By peace, we mean the capacity to transform conflicts with empathy and creativity, without violence, a never-ending process. By transforming conflicts, we mean enabling the parties to go ahead in a self-reliant, acceptable, and sustainable manner. By with empathy, we mean the ability to understand the conflict also in the ways the parties understand the conflict themselves. By creativity, we mean channeling conflict energy toward new, innovative ways of satisfying basic human needs for all. By without violence, we mean that this process should avoid both any threat or use of direct violence that hurts and harms, and any use of structural violence that demobilizes the parties. But how can this empathetic, creative, and nonviolent transformation of conflicts be achieved? According to Johan Galtung, part of the answer is to change the way we think about peace processes. He suggested a new framework for understanding these processes through the concepts of negative and positive peace. While negative peace simply refers to the absence of overt conflict and direct physical violence, positive peace refers to the absence of indirect structural violence. This kind of violence comes in the form of stereotypes, discrimination, exploitation, and repression. Positive peace, then, is not just the absence of war, but the presence of social justice. Building on Galtung's concepts, the Institute for Economics and Peace defines positive peace as the attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain peaceful societies. So, what exactly are these attitudes, institutions, and structures? According to the Institute, they are the 8 pillars of positive peace. well-functioning government, equitable distribution of resources, free flow of information, good relations with neighbors, human capital, acceptance of the rights of others, low levels of corruption, sound business environment. Well-functioning government can be broken down into two major domains. The first refers to the government's effectiveness, its activities, and the rule of law. The second domain refers to the way in which the government shares the same vision as its citizens, that it is accountable and allows its citizens to have a voice in decision-making. This might entail how it manages public resources, responds to external shocks, or engages the community in decision-making. This also extends beyond the political sphere to that of civil servants who administer the day-to-day operation of government. Equity describes the extent to which individuals and groups are treated fairly, regardless of their personal characteristics such as social position, race, religion, or gender. How equitable resources and opportunities are distributed throughout a society may define how easily an individual or a group accesses a range of vital goods and services such as land, water, education, healthcare, and justice, all of which are important contributors to human development. The measures for the free flow of information capture how easily citizens can gain access to information, including whether the media is free and independent. It also captures the extent to which citizens are informed and engaged in the political processes and the diversity of access to information. This can be measured through internet access, or simply the ability to express political views. In this sense, the free flow of information accounts for the degree of access to information as well as the independence of that information from vested political and economic interests. This pillar refers to the relationship between individuals, communities, and states. While this pillar is expected to be strongly linked to the acceptance of the rights of others, it is different as it measures the quality of relationships between the groups within a country, as well as the quality of the relations with its neighboring countries. An indicator of these relations could be the extent of regional, economic, and political integration, attitudes to foreigners, and intergroup cohesion. Human capital describes a country's stock of skills, knowledge, and behaviors. This concept is associated with individuals' education, health, and attitudes, which materially impact their contributions to their communities. This category includes both the formal institutions that ensure basic rights and freedoms, as well as the informal social and cultural norms that relate to the behaviors of citizens. These factors relate to tolerance between the different ethnic, linguistic, religious, and socio-economic groups within a country. Corruption describes the abuse of a position to gain undue advantage. This might occur through government, business, or community relationships. It might include a range of actions, such as government officials asking for additional fees to process documents, police ignoring illegal activity in return for payment, or political candidates directly bribing voters. In societies with high corruption, resources may be inefficiently allocated, resulting in essential services breaking down or schools and hospitals missing out on appropriate funding. A sound business environment is seen as crucial to providing both individuals and communities with a means to peacefully, equitably, and efficiently sharing a country's resources. Analysis shows that factors associated with a sound business environment are also associated with peace. These factors include the level and quality of infrastructure, business sophistication and innovation, the quality of employment opportunities, and the level of regulations applied to businesses. These 8 pillars were found by the Institute for Economics and Peace to be strongly associated with peaceful environments. They are both interdependent and mutually reinforcing. Due to the connected nature of these factors, the weakening or strengthening of any one pillar will also weaken or strengthen the other pillars. Positive peace, therefore, is dependent on the strength of all pillars. The relationship can be compared to a brick wall. Take out one brick and the strength of the entire wall is impacted.
Okay. Let me go over here and get out of this and go back into this. Okay, can you see the presentation now? So that is actually probably one of my most favorite videos, because it describes so nicely what positive peace is all about. But I also want to let you know that the Institute for Economics and Peace also looks at negative peace. Since 2007, this is their 14th year. 2001 was their 14th year in measuring negative peace. What they do is they take a look at several factors that are related to negative peace. So there's basically three categories. There's ongoing domestic and international conflict, societal safety and security, and militarization. So they measure the levels of all these three things using 23 indicators. And then they rank countries based upon their level of negative peace. The most peaceful country in 21 was Iceland. It was rated number 1. Canada was rated number 10, United States number 122, and the least peaceful was Afghanistan, ranked 163. Right now, as you can see by the map, Middle East and North Africa are really the least peaceful regions in the world. So this is one metric that they use. This is called the Global Peace Index, and it measures negative peace. Another metric that they use is the Positive Peace Index. And this ranks the same countries using 24 indicators, but they're based upon the 8 pillars of positive peace. And the things that they measure, as was mentioned in the video, are the structures, attitudes, and institutions that support positive peace. So this is what they measure. And again, there's 24 different indicators, and they apply them to the 8 pillars of positive peace to determine what is the level of positive peace in a particular area. Right now, again, there are 163 countries. They're ranking number 1 currently is Sweden. This is the 22 results. Canada is ranked at number 7, and the United States ranked at number 24. The lowest ranking is Somalia. So one of the organizations that we definitely recommend people look into is the Rotarian Action Group for Peace. And they have a concept, philosophy, that Rotarians should wage peace. The question then becomes, how is that done? So there's several things that Rotarians can do. Either Rotarians, Rotary clubs, districts. The first thing that you can do is learn more about peace and positive peace by enrolling in the Positive Peace Academy. This is a free course. It takes, I can't remember how many hours. Do you remember, Maria? It's not very long, but it's an online course. Again, it's free, and you learn about the concepts of positive peace. Another thing that you can,
it's also in different modules, so it's not all in one.
Right. It's several. You can stop and go taking the program, so it's not something that you have to sit down and do all at once. You can join a Rotary Action Group. There's several out there. Some of the recommended ones are the Rotary Action Group for Peace or Rotarian Action Group for Peace, Rotary Action Group Against Slavery, which is another one, Rotarians Against Racism. All of these three have a peace focus. Another thing that you can do is become a Peace Builder Club, which Grand Forks did most recently. And what that is, it's basically stating a commitment to promote peace within your district, within your club, within your community, and to identify ways to make the world a better place. And that is done through the Rotary Action Group for Peace. You can learn ways to be an everyday peace builder. There's information online through Rotary. You can read the Rotary Action Group for Peace document on, should be Your Piece of Peace. It's a document that is done by the Rotary Action Group for Peace. It's really good. It outlines steps that you can take to promote peace within your community. Read the Positive Peace Implementation Guide. This is through the Institute for Economics and Peace. And you can learn how and promote the idea of learn how and promote the idea of becoming a Rotary Peace Builder district. So each club belongs to a district, and the district can be a peace builder district. And then promoting peace, learn about Rotary's peace building history around the world, which you're doing right now. But also there's a lot more information that you can get, really in-depth information. And I will make sure that all these links are available to you as well. So currently, since the Peace Builder Club or Peace Club Committee, excuse me, the Rotary District 5080 Peace Committee was being formed and was established by the district. We have mentored a total of 7 peace builder clubs within the district, and we're hoping to expand that. And again, Grand Forks is one, and Walla Walla just came on board as well. These others that were up here, the previous 5 happened in 2020, and we had a little bit of a lull because of COVID and everything else that was going on. But I think we're on the roll now to get clubs to become peace builder clubs as well. Another thing that we are looking at, hopefully going to achieve, we're currently considering at the District Leadership Council and the governor line to become a peace builder district. This is an expensive proposition for the district. It involves the donation of $25,000 to the Rotary Peace Centers or other foundation type of fund related to peace. We want to do the initial donation to become a peace builder district. It can involve maintaining that with annual donations, but it can also be supplemented by clubs as well, clubs and individuals who contribute to the peace centers. It's really driven by contributions, but it is quite a feather in the cap of the district if we do accomplish this. So as you're well aware, we have the Peace Committee, and we have the Peace Academy, which is part of the Peace Committee. Peace Academy is responsible for Peace Builder conferences, leadership development, education, and Club Speakers Bureau. So we do a lot of that. And we have specific programs that we offer through for the Speakers Bureau. History of Peace Building in Rotary, which is this program. I modified it somewhat specifically for this gathering. Peace Builder Clubs, People of Action, Healthy Conversations, and then the information on the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park Association presentation on that. And we do have a contact for anybody who's interested. And that is basically it. So I'm going to open it up for questions, comments, anything else. And I'm going to stop sharing at this point. Maxine, you're muted.
There we go. Thought I had
Okay.
unmuted. Perfect. Any questions or comments anybody would like to start off with? Linda?
Well, I'm very interested in the idea of peace through service. And I'm wondering what kind of activities that there have been with Rotary. I think it would be especially a really good thing to be involved with, for example, high school students doing
Absolutely.
through service.
Absolutely. Right now, the district is working on a project with the Interact clubs within the district. And we're doing what's called a virtual gathering, trying to get all the Rotary Interact clubs together to just discuss what does peace mean to them, what are their goals and aspirations, what do they want to see in the future. Our youth are the present and future of peace. And I think that, the more we can do for schools, the better off we are. One of the things that I've observed professionally is that there's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of violence in schools, and really it's a matter of opening up conversations, getting people to sit down and talk. Just like anything else when you're doing a mediation, even world peace starts with a conversation, starts with one conversation at a time. And that's really the best way to, from my perspective, to start down that road. So if you can somehow come up with a plan to start those conversations among students, within schools, that's one step moving forward. But you can also do that in your community, and you can do that in your club as well.
Great. Any other comments? Okay, Pam.
I'm amazed and impressed with your work, and thank you to Linda, my friend, who turned me on to the Peace Cafe. To what degree are you in? It sounds like you're working on building peace from a personal level, and I wonder what degree you're working with peace efforts to combat peace in the family, working with battered women, rape victims, that kind of thing, and other organizations that are working towards peace. I'm interested in your work with others.
I have an organization that I'm working on to work on some of those areas, but as far as the district or the Rotary is concerned, it's really up to the individual clubs to become involved in those types of initiatives. Excuse me, and they can be very successful. It's really identifying who the organizations and individuals are within your community who are working towards that, and then sitting down with them and saying, I understand that you're working on this. How are things going? Is there anything that we can do, that I can do to support that? And again, it's really listening to what they have to say, opening up your ears and your thoughts, and not telling them what they should be doing, but asking them what their needs are and how can you address their needs.
Maria.
Bill, I think you said that so beautifully. And just to reiterate what Bill said in his presentation, a lot of what Rotary and what the partnership with the IEP does is it gives us a framework. So it gives us a way of talking about our projects so that we become mindful of the 8 pillars of positive peace as we're designing any particular project that any club is taking on. So a big part of what District 5080 is doing through our arc of conferences, the next pre-conference is the lead into the upcoming conference, and that's May 12th, so that's coming up, is that we're teaching Rotarians how to utilize those tools that IEP has given us to vet projects and to answer the very questions that Pam, you're identifying, and they're important questions for sure.
Right. I mean, the issue is really, what can we do to utilize the 8 pillars, as Maria said, as a framework, to alleviate the issues. If we're working on a project of that involves social interaction, relationships, what are those how can we take the 8 pillars of positive peace and use that to identify where the barriers, gaps lie, and then what can we do based upon the information that we have available to fill those gaps, or to come up with solutions based upon those 8 pillars. And that's really, I mean, that's really what positive peace is all about.
And so, Bill, I just took the opportunity right now to show the poster for
Excellent.
the pre-conference with your keynote speaker. I don't know if you want to say anything about her.
Sure. Lauralee Higgins is, Maria and I have known her for a number of years. She's a great speaker. I met her, I'm not sure if you met her at the same time, but I met her in Alberta at the Waterton National Park, I think it's called, Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, basically. And she was a speaker there. And I've had several interactions with her. She's a great peace fellow. She went to the certificate program. She didn't get the master's program, but she did the certificate program. I think she went to Thailand for that. She is a peace activator, and which basically means she's been through some additional training. She is I'm keep forgetting how it's Métis, yeah, Canadian cultural mediator, Indigenous relations strategist in Alberta. Actually, she works for the city of Calgary. So she's going to be our keynote. Unfortunately, she's going to be virtual. So, but the conference itself, the pre-conference, is actually has 2 opportunities, either virtual or face-to-face. Those people who are in Colville will be able to see it face-to-face, but see her on a screen. So, so either way, you're going to see her on a screen. But basically, it's a great opportunity. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 8 pillars of positive peace and discuss how can we create peace and conflict resolution utilizing the 8 pillars of positive peace, and how can we create an environment of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion utilizing the 8 pillars of positive peace. So it's really an assessment of, again, where are the gaps? Who are the players? What do we need to do in order to make changes, adjustments in these areas in the world?
And Bill, can non-Rotarians register for this?
Absolutely. Just use that link that is there is the link that anybody can register with. And if you are a non-Rotarian or a Rotarian outside of our district, click on the guest link. You click on that and it'll ask you for some information, basically your name and your email address. And then you go through. The registration looks complex because it is meant to be for the entire conference, but look for those things. There's 2 things that you need to click on. One is that you are 3 things actually, that you are a who you are, basically Rotarian, or I can't remember if there's a guest. I think there is a guest element on the option on there, and that opens up the rest of the application or registration. And then you click on the conference, And then from there, it'll ask you whether you want to do virtual or live. And if you click on virtual, we're charging $25 just to cover our expenses for this, for virtual. And if you happen to be able to get to Colville and attend directly, we're charging $40 because there are more expenses related to the actual facilities and all that kind of stuff. But that's basically it. Anything else to add, Maria?
And if you're there live, you'll get to see Bill and I in person because we'll both be
Yes.
there live in person. And I would say the other thing that you get from being there, whether you're virtual or you're live, we have Chris Offer, who will be facilitating the two conversations. And that's like a masterclass in watching how do you route any conversation through the 8 pillars.
Right.
It's part of how you learn how to utilize the tool, which is really what Bill and I envisioned when we first created the Arc of 5. So again, this is the 3rd conference in the Arc of 5, but you don't have to have been to the first 2. This is just the next step, which is all about raising the pillars of positive peace. So it's about understanding how to utilize the tool of the pillars of positive peace to facilitate any conversation, peace related or otherwise, and bring the consciousness of peace to that.
Beautiful, thank you. And I don't know for sure, Maria, if you and Bill are aware that the Rotary is part of a collaboration with the Baha'i community, with the USCC and other supporting groups, Indigenous groups, to actually, we're having a peace conference on April 30th in Grand Forks. And the morning is conversation. And yeah, we're having two sessions of breakout groups during the morning part of it. One is on fostering the culture of peace and looking at our own roles within that. And the second one is contributing to social justice. And, you know, a lot of the information you shared here today is just a really nice baseline, as well as information that all of our partners bring to the table who have an intense interest in peace. And so the afternoon, we're so fortunate that the USCC that's the Doukhobor community here are actually making borscht and bread for lunch. And then the afternoon is art and music for peace. And so the music will include the Grand Forks Choral Society, the Doukhobor Choir is going to sing songs of peace, and we also have an Indigenous group going to do a drumming circle.
Excellent.
And right after that, we have 2 youngish artists in our community here who are going to lead a great big peace mural project. And they're bringing 3 big pieces of plywood, and they, like children, like the morning session, youth and adults are invited. For lunch, children are invited to come and also participate in developing this mural project together that will include children, youth, and adults. And so we're really looking forward to, you know, bringing some cohesion and then also doing some goal setting as we're all moving forward. And I see this collaborative group as something that I'm very honored as a Rotarian to be part of, because, you know, they've already, you know, the Doukhobor and the Baha'i community in particular, those 2 groups have been symbols of peace for forever. So anyway, for those of you that didn't know about that, the conference, Laura, I think you're asking, it begins at 9. Well, the doors open at 9, we begin at 9:15. We have lunch, and then we hope to be wrapping up around 3 in the afternoon if you're attending all parts. And we do have registration forms, so we can connect either you with Linda or Shelley or myself to get a registration form for you. We've just this week been putting them out in the community, and we're already getting signups. So we're pretty excited for our small community to be able to do this. Amazing.
Are you interested in expanding your attendance to? outside your local community, or what is your?
Well, we would be, but if we end up with a big responsible local community, I mean, we do already have a couple of people that are coming from out of our area that we're
Mhm.
totally happy to have here. And so in what context are you asking that question?
Well, I'm just wondering whether, you know, that you would like us to advertise it on a district level. It doesn't sound like you want to expand it that much, but
Well, it depends. Linda, what do you think, Shelley?
I think that's a great idea. You know, we should be making all peace-related things. We should be talking about them far and wide. We have no idea right now how many people are going to be coming. One thing we would like to do is just begin with this peace conference and continue. I mean, we have to be more active. We have to be doing more and more in a wider and wider way. So I guess at this point, we're seeing how it goes, hoping that there's a good response locally. And of course, if anyone asked if they could come, we'd say yes, the doors are open.
okay.
Publicizing it internationally, I'm not sure we're quite ready for it,
But reasonably local would be okay then, right? Like within the district.
Oh yeah, within the district would be okay, because it's so close to when, you know, the bigger conference, Rotary conference in Colville is,
Right.
that we may have people with questions. I
Right.
don't expect that we're going to have a lot of people travel here.
Right. Well, I see them with two different missions or visions for what you want to accomplish. So it's not like I don't think that there would be competition between the two, but you never know. But definitely we need to get the message out. So I think if you want to send me information,
Okay.
I would
then we
also
can
say
take a look at that. So
peace is not competitive, peace is cooperative, right?
right.
Peace is always a cooperative effort. It would be lovely if any one of you were feeling called to become part of the peace committee, the district peace committee. We would dearly love to have representation from your area on the peace committee. And you would just need to let Bill or I know that, and it would be as simple as that. And the other thing I'd like to invite you to think about, because it sounds like your whole community is so peace oriented, is a peace pole, which with the planting of a peace pole, because I know, Linda, you asked about what are projects that we can do. And one of the things that Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, which was the first international peace park created by Rotarians in 1932. And so we're coming up on the 90th anniversary of that. And to celebrate the 90th anniversary, what we're doing is a 10-year countdown to the 100th anniversary. And we're looking to plant 100 peace poles, 25 in each of the districts that are involved in the association. And it would be lovely if one of those peace poles were in your area. A peace pole is something that has the following sentence: may peace prevail on earth, in multiple languages. It can be 4 languages or 8 languages. And having a dedication ceremony and such is a wonderful way, again, for the community to dedicate themselves to each other and the journey of peace collectively. And it sounds like your group, that would be something right in there with, you know, the drumming circles and the dancing and all of that. That's how you do a dedication ceremony.
Well, this year, like we have talked about that a bit. And this summer, Grand Forks is celebrating its 125th anniversary as a city. And so we were considering looking at our activities around being part of, you know, their celebration as well.
Beautiful. Well, know that as a club, you can also use your express grant for a peace pole, and it covers the cost of a peace pole, and that's already happened through the system. So they are looking for applications that say peace pole, because they actually know what that talks about now. They now understand it because other clubs have initiated that. Yeah. And I think Laura had her hand up as well.
Yeah, Laura, did you have a question?
Well, I think we did at the Peace, we had the Festival of Freedom, there was a peace poll up at that time. But I think in Canada, you'd have to, the rules may be a little different. Because you have
I'm
to
in
go through the governments and, but can
Well,
you
actually,
stand us?
these peace polls, Laura, can go anywhere. Christina Lake has already put it, their Rotary Club has already put a
Okay.
peace poll up in their, around their information center. And I think already there's some work being done with Gallery 2 to do a peace poll.
Okay,
And
I
and
wasn't
I
aware
didn't
of that.
introduce
That's
myself well. I'm from Radium Hot Springs, British Columbia.
all.
So we are kind of the cross-border representation as well.
Okay, I was just wondering, and would, you know, the Boundary Peace Initiative would be willing to be involved in getting that started, if that's a possibility.
I think JJ had his hand up.
Sorry, JJ, if I missed you.
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, I'd just like to thank Bill and Maria for a wonderful presentation. And some of those graphics and some of that information sure would be useful for the conference that's being planned for the end of the month here in Grand Forks. That's number one. Number two, we planted a peace pole in Nelson in front of a church a few years back. So there's no problem with peace poles being put in our country. Yeah, there's a ceremony associated, and then the peace pole in Nelson, we composed the Russian translation of May Peace Prevail in the World. There's an indigenous language put on it, and also other languages. When we're talking international collaboration, I just wanted our brother and sister from the States to know that we have a long history of collaborating with Rotary International, and including the districts that have been mentioned. For example, in the past, we have hosted groups from other countries that Rotary has brought in Grand Forks and Castlegar. Some of these groups have been from Siberia. Number two, in '92, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the USCC, the Doukhobor Society, and the Rotary Clubs of Grand Forks Trail and Roslyn collected 35 tons of humanitarian aid that we delivered to two communities in the Russian Federation. Number three, the constitution of Rotary is very similar to the goals and aspirations of the Doukhobor community. If you read the constitution of Rotary, and many people from our Doukhobor community have been members, continue to be members of Rotary International. Waterton Park that was mentioned is one of, if not perhaps the only World Heritage Site under UNESCO that is managed by two countries, Canada and the United States. We have organized peace conferences, including conferences of Vietnam draft resistors that your infamous TV station, Fox TV, even sent a TV crew to film a few years back. I think we had them running 2 years in a row. And yes, every year we mark the International Day of Peace on September 21st. We have also established the Mir Center for Peace in Castlegar, an international institute to build cultures with a plural of peace. And when you mentioned the possibility of Rotary funding these kinds of institutions, I have to ask if Canadian College would be eligible for that kind of funding.
What exactly were you asking at the end there, JJ? Could you say it again?
If the Mir Center for Peace would qualify for the financial support that Bill was sharing with us, that Rotary International and different aspects or agencies of Rotary have been generous with in the past.
There would, I'm also the foundation chair of the district. So
Good person
I
to
wear,
ask.
I wear multiple hats. So all I can say is that you would need to have a local club who writes a grant. It could be a district grant. And one of the things that can be supported is scholarships. So if there's scholarships that you're talking about, then that would be an opportunity. It would depend upon what the grant was designed to do as to whether the funding would be available. But it needs to be initiated by a Rotary club in order to do that. And it's always a possibility.
Oh, right on. Thank you for that. And finally, just shortly after your conference on May 8th, on Mother's Day, which I believe is on May 12th, we are having our 31st or 32nd International Mother's Day Walk for Peace, where us Canucks meet with our American peaceniks at Asuyas at the border. And we have a captive audience. All of the Canadians trying to get to the US and the Americans trying to get into Canada. So please, at your meeting on the 8th, please feel free to advertise the annual Mother's Day Walk for Peace, sponsored by Canadian and American peace groups.
Anything that any club is doing, especially if they're a peace builder club, even if they're not a peace builder club, we have the district website. We have opportunity to be able to advertise those things, to put stories onto the website, and make sure that people are aware of what's going on. And I think that's one of the things that the peace committee, the district peace committee, needs to do, is to ensure that all the good works of the clubs in our district related to peace activities are noticed and documented, meaning in the website and so forth, so that people know what's going on, what opportunities there are.
We can do that as advertisement beforehand, and we can do it also as Bill said, as an article with pictures afterwards. So just because it's already happened doesn't mean we can't go back and write an article about it. So submitting an article with pictures is really important, so that we let other Rotarians know what's possible, and that this is how we inspire each other. May 8th is Mother's Day. I just want to do clarification, because May 12th is Thursday, and that actually is the Peace Pre-Conference, May 12th. I also I had understood what time is the conference beginning as a question towards the pre-conference. So I'll answer it for that, just in case anybody had that question. We start, it's a 9 o'clock hard start. So 8:45 is when we ask people who are virtual to be on, so that we start right at 9 a.m. because we have a very full 3 hours from 9 to noon Pacific time.
Right.
I also wanted to really thank JJ for mentioning Nelson's Peace Poll, absolutely. And to let Linda know that in Cranbrook, it was their Interact group that wanted to plant a peace pole. So they now they're planning a dedication ceremony, and it's the Interact, it's the high school students who have just embraced this. They found the location, they lobbied the government and did a presentation, and they became very involved in planting a peace pole. So for the youth as well, it's a project that is capturing their imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So we're hoping with our April 30th session that we do get a number of youth out and light a fire that we can work with them to achieve. And JJ, Murray Knox and I are the Grand Forks Rotary Committee reps, and we would love to talk to you more to get the details, and then we can share that with our full district. And so some of you might not, who don't know Rotary, might not realize we are a Canada-US district, and Grand Forks is a member of this Canada-US, British Columbia, and this part of Washington state, basically. Any other questions or comments anybody has? Brent?
I just wanted to thank Bill and Maria for their service to this great cause. I think peace is inevitable. The train has already left the station. We just need more people to get on board. And I think we all should try peace for a while. If we don't like it, we can always go back to war. Thank you.
See, I have a personal objective that I'm trying to push. With any luck, by 2026, we will have defeated polio. We're getting so close. What is Rotary going to do after that? That's one of the big questions that's out there. And my goal is world peace by 2040. I think it's possible. I think we've shown that it's possible through our polio initiative. I think it's possible if we get enough people behind it, if we can get that groundswell going. It's a grassroots project. We got to start from individuals and move forward.
In a presentation on healthy conversations that I did Wednesday morning, we had a conversation about what's happening in the Ukraine and with the Soviet Union right now, with Russia right now. And what the conversation was is, when we think about the United States, we need to understand, and I'm a dual citizen for full transparency here, that in 1776, a grand experiment was started, and it was the experiment of democracy. No world power has been in existence for over 250 years where that power has survived 250 years. 250 years is 2026, right? And so what we need to understand is that what's happening right now with Russia and the Ukraine is the test of democracy. And the hope is in recognizing that people are claiming government by the people, for the people. People in the Ukraine are at the front line of that. Russian soldiers that are choosing not to follow, their orders, they are part of that. So this is a test of democracy. And when Bill says world peace 2040 is possible, I reflect on what is happening right now in the world, and that people are declaring government by the people, for the people, in a new way. And I think that's part of what is allowing this new level of peace to be born in the world.
Yep.
And Bill, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Peace. There are those who have said we won't see the end of polio until we do conquer peace. So there's the slogan in Rotary, peace before polio. And yet I agree, 2026 is going to be a watershed year for many, many different things, polio included. And we need to turn our sights to peace. The question that I asked every president, not just Barry Razin, but every one of the last 5 presidents, is if Rotary learned anything from the polio campaign about world peace, what have we learned? And Barry's words were the ones that changed my life. Peace happens one conversation at a time, when somebody's willing to pick up the phone to make the call, and the person at the other end is willing to pick up the phone to have the conversation.
Yeah, and I see all of these signs as greater moral and spiritual growth amongst peoples of the world. And to me, that's very exciting. Linda.
I just think we should have a lot of competition to have peace and more peace.
Absolutely.
I think every time we have a gathering like this, it is all about peace, and it extends through time and space. We have someone here from Washington State, someone from Colorado. Absolutely, we need to be looking at everything internationally and globally. It's extremely important. It was very interesting for me to see Johann Galtung being referred to. I studied with him at the University for Peace in Austria in 2005. And positive peace, negative peace are very familiar concepts, but we definitely have to, every step towards peace is positive. We have to continue one step at a time and move forward. So thank you so much for joining us at our Peace Cafe. It's I think 2 years now. I'm not sure if Lizanne is still there, but we've been doing this. We did it in person then we're doing it in Zoom, and we hope we can continue doing it both face to face and Zooming in friends who couldn't easily get here otherwise. So we're
And please let us know when you do have the meetings, the presentations or meetings or whatever, so that we can make people aware that this is going on, and also open up the opportunities for people to have these discussions. This is critical for the future of the world.
Right. And so Lizanne, you were just going to comment on when did we start the Peace Cafes?
I was going to say 3 years. I think we
Yeah.
doing it well before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we went virtual when COVID started, and they were face to face previous to that. So
Could even be
Going-
4 years.
going back to it, well, we're going to a hybrid model now, we hope, right? To still do both, but simultaneously. Well, you know what? I'm very respectful of your time, Lizanne, at the library, because I know you're close to closing time. And if there's anybody else that really wants to say anything, let's do it now. Otherwise, we can wrap up. Okay, I just want to wrap up by really expressing our gratitude for your presentation, Bill, and for your attendance with us to Maria. It was truly amazing. And I know that anybody that wants to actually preview this recording, thank you, Lizanne, that they'll get a lot from it. And I think I know of 3 or 4 people that would really get a lot from listening to that presentation at another time. So thank you to all of our participants.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Shelley, did you have something? Your hand waved, or was it just, we're ready to go, we're ready to leave? Okay.
We're ready to go. Just our thanks as well. And I learned a lot, and we just have so many similar objectives. And yeah, so looking forward to collaborating.
Even further.
Yes.
Yes, very good.
Okay, have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.